The following program is a production of Pioneer Public Television. This program on Pioneer Public Television is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4, 2008. Additional support provided by Mark and Margaret Yekel Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. ShalomHillFarm.org. The Arrowwood Resort and Conference Center, your ideal choice for Minnesota resorts offering luxury townhomes, 18 holes of golf, Darling Reflection Spa, Big Splash Water Park, and much more. Alexandria, Minnesota, a relaxing vacation or great location for an event. Explore alex.com. Easy to get to, hard to leave.
Welcome to Postcards. I'm Dana Johnson. On this episode, we'll learn about the ancient history of taiko drumming and how it made its way from Japan over to Minnesota. The members of Mudaiko show us how this Asian trend has become an important part to the fabric of local culture.
Mudaiko is a taiko drumming ensemble. We are a part of Mu Performing Arts, and Mu Performing Arts is on two wings, actually. It's Mudaiko, which is taiko, and Theater Mu, which is the Asian American Theater Company. Theater Mu has actually been around for 20 years. It was started by Rick Shiomi, our artistic director. Mudaiko is 15 years old, and so we're celebrating our 15th anniversary season this year. Rick was the founding artistic director for both Theater Mu and for Mudaiko. Mudaiko has really been able to grow and thrive under the wing of Mu Performing Arts and with Rick, and I took over as artistic director a couple of years ago.
There's sort of the lore of how our group got started. And I was in the first group of, at the time, I was an actor who saw our Theater Mu's artistic director, Rick Shiomi, give a taiko demonstration at an event. And I'd never seen taiko drumming before. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know what it was. And I was completely blown away. So at the time, a few of us actors were like, hey, you got to teach this. It's so cool. Come on, Rick, you got to show us how to do this. And he had sort of drummed in a former life and now was concentrating on his theater career. So he was a little reluctant and knew how much work it would take and what's involved, and thought, well, I'll give them a couple of lessons and then they'll move on and realize it's too hard and just sort of move on to the next thing. But what happened is it just sort of caught on fire, and we loved it and embraced it, and more people loved it, more people wanted to do it and see it, and it just sort of snowballed from there.
Taiko in and of itself is a very easy into Asian American community. It's something that people can understand instinctively without having a whole lot of cultural background. But for me, I found that when I play taiko for folks, people are interested in learning a little bit more about the culture. They're surprised that there is a significant artistic voice that is coming from Asian American community, Japanese American community. And so in that way, yeah, it is a little unusual to be right in the middle of the Midwest and doing this. But I think that we are very cognizant of the fact that we are an important part of this kind of cultural tapestry coming from the Asian American community. But there is also, for me, a spiritual aspect to taiko. So besides just the beautiful choreography sometimes, exciting rhythms, really pulsating where you feel this stuff in your body. For me, and especially when I compose, there is always that spiritual or that lyrical aspect. So And for Mu Daiko especially, Mu is, the interpretation or the translation for us of Mu is the shaman, artist, warrior that connects the heavens and earth through the tree of life. And so for us, especially when, we're holding the bachi or the drumsticks in our hands and we have these extensions that are going up into the air, we really do feel like there is a connection with the heavens. Kind of centering in the body, coming up from the earth, and then giving the spirit out to the audience. And everybody has different takes on it, but I know for us at Mu, that is a significant part of why we do what we do.
Drumming in general has a deep, sort of universal appeal, regardless of the drumming traditions that it's coming from. So there's something that people, I think, really respond to. The element of the choreography and the extra sort of dancing and excitement that we try to put in our productions takes it, adds another element to that as well. But I think just like in terms of like building, drawing, empowering community, drumming traditions across many, many, many cultures have been really effective and lasted. In some ways, it's definitely very primal and rooted and deep. In other ways, it can be as silly and crazy and off the wall as the artist performing it. So it's not something that I feel like you have to only have a certain attitude with. It's just something that like you can express the whole range of human expression and experience and choose taiko drumming to do it.
I think Mu Daiko within Minnesota and I think within the United States, because we have our parent company, which is a theatrical company, there are many more elements of drama, I think, involved. That I think we have started to learn how to use and to do really, really well, simply because of this relationship with the theater. So you will see these really big, beautiful movement. You will see facial expressions that express what we are trying to express through the music as well. There is definitely a connection on stage, and we have a very concerted effort to connect with the audience. And I think in some ways that does put us apart, from other taiko groups that are who are also doing really well, but just in different ways.
At the core is just the way it involves your whole body, your mind, your spirit, and how it draws out a bigger, better version of yourself in the process of drumming, learning how to drum, and performing and teaching, in fact, as well. I love how physical it is. I love what is really choreography, the dance elements that are involved. I love how it has this unique combination of like grace and nuance and just full out power, roar, athleticism. I just think it's a very empowering way to express yourself. The response has been really great. People are just like, wow, I didn't know what to expect, and that just blew me away. That was amazing. You guys must be so strong, or you must be exhausted, or, I want to go out and hit something now. You tend to get a really immediate kind of response from audiences.
But it's mostly just kind of been fun, and I think that when you're on stage, and I'm playing with a super bunch of people right now, when we're smiling and we're playing, and even though you're just working your best and you're working really, really hard to have that camaraderie and have these little interior jokes that are going on when we're on stage has been the best part of taiko for me.
At different times in your life, you're we say taiko baka, which is taiko crazy, and you'll do anything to get more time studying or to find a workshop or to find a teacher or to see a performance, and you'll go to great lengths to sort of learn your art. But then, at different stages in your life, if you have a family or if your career is taking off in a different way or things like that, then you just kind of have to find a way to really balance it, but still give it your all.
Well, there are so many things about taiko that have kept me going with it. But I think the thing that grabbed me initially is that when you play, you cannot think about anything else. You have to be so totally focused in what you do. When you play, you feel the vibrations in your body. When you play, it's almost like meditation because you do have to clear off. And then when the energy starts coming back to you from the audience, that is when you just kind of get on this really, it's a rush. It's like an adrenaline rush because as human beings, we don't often get to connect with others in that manner, with that energy flow going back and forth. And so for me, that has been, I think, the thing most of all that has kept me going.
It's not just the rhythms, and it's not just the technique, and it's not just your arms hitting things and making sound. It's literally your whole body doing it. And what that brings out in people is, it's really a beautiful thing. How that sort of kind of flows back into your life is a very sort of enriching thing. So in some ways, it just makes me a better person, as cliche as that may sound. But it also brings together a community of people in a way that really taps into, I think, positive energy. You know, it brings together good people. Like, it's brought into my life some of the best people I've ever known through taiko in some ways. You know, so in one ways, the art form itself, like the grace and the beauty and the power of it, I love. And the other thing is just the genuine connection that I've made with people in the community, the people I drum with, people that have come into my life that have made taiko so deeply important to me.
When folks come to our performances, I hope my biggest hope and what I always strive for is that they leave in some way transformed. Transformation for people is a very different way, and this is probably for all art. You know, we all want, when we read a wonderful book or when we see a great piece of art, visual art, or when you see performance, that there is something happening on stage that will start this change in oneself. And it could be on many, many different levels. So one, it could be, there is this Japanese form called taiko. I can feel this vibration in my body. I can feel the joy that's coming from the stage. I've learned something a little bit more about this culture. I've learned that there are Japanese Americans in Minnesota. And then for some other folks, it's like, wow, those rhythms are really put together in an interesting way, or those drums are really making an interesting sound that I've never heard before. But in some way to transform, so that when they walk out of the theater, they are coming out with more than they came in with.
Now, straight from the Center for the Arts in Fergus Falls, we bring you a high-energy performance from Udaiko. That's all for this week. Now we leave you with a taste of hibachi cooking, brought to us by the talented chefs of Cheng Garden and Wilmer. For more information, go to our website. Join us again next time on Postcards.
This program on Pioneer Public Television is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4, 2008. Additional support provided by Mark and Margaret Yekel Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. ShalomHillFarm.org. The Arrowwood Resort and Conference Center, your ideal choice for Minnesota resorts offering luxury townhomes, 18 holes of golf, Darling Reflection Spa, Big Splash Water Park, and much more. Alexandria, Minnesota, a relaxing vacation or great location for an event. Explore alex.com. Easy to get to, hard to leave.